Now, Stormwatch 12 weather with meteorologist Oliver Smith.
Most of us had some pretty nice sunshine today, and as a result, temperatures were actually fairly mild. Even east of the Cascades, we were into the upper 40s to mid 50s. In fact, 54 out in Lakeview, 50 to 55 into Siskiyou County. We were 60 degrees here in Medford. It was 61 in Ashland. But contrast that to 46 degrees with fog and low clouds kind of plaguing Grants Pass. We finally cleared out, but boy, it took a little while. And 65 was the high temperature in Brookings. All we've had throughout the day today is just some high clouds, been a few showers in southwestern Siskiyou County, and that's from a system that is moving from north towards the south, essentially this big area of low pressure, and that is staying away from our neck of the woods. Now we do have another system way offshore that will be approaching our area and starting to affect our weather on Friday. But in the meantime, we're going to have high pressure building in, which will make things very easy for fog to redevelop yet again. We'll be looking at some cold temperatures east of the Cascades, generally 25 to 30 degrees. Mid 30s into Siskiyou County. Temperatures could get near freezing, so don't be surprised if you do see some freezing fog over in that particular part, but we will stay above freezing here into the Rogue Valley. 38's forecast low for Medford, 47 out in Brookings. For tomorrow, we'll be looking pretty nice. High pressure, morning clouds, low and fog, and sunshine. We'll be looking at 50 out in Lakeview, 48 in Klamath Falls, and generally 50 to 55 degrees up and down I-5, 57 in Medford, but 60 degrees for Brookings. So what we're going to be looking at for the next couple of days is just some high clouds, but we'll start off with the low clouds and fog, especially east of the Cascades into Lake County. But once we go through the day tomorrow and once we go to Thursday night and into Friday, then we'll start seeing increasing clouds from our next system. By Friday morning, we'll start seeing that rain along the Oregon coast, and eventually that'll push inland. Now, when it does push inland, initially snow levels are going to be about 6,000 feet. But this has a pretty tight temperature gradient associated with it, so when this cold front pushes off towards the east, snow levels will start to drop to about 3,000 feet once that front pushes off towards the east into the afternoon hours. So it'll bring some brief snow along the Oregon Cascades, but it's really not going to be a significant effect. In fact, we're only going to be looking at about an inch of snow over towards Lake of the Woods, maybe 2 to 3 inches for Crater Lake. That's really about it. So maybe an inch towards Siskiyou Summit. Again, it's not going to be a hugely impactful system, but once we get towards Saturday morning, we'll be looking pretty clear and some patchy fog in parts of the region. This system also won't provide a whole lot of rain, maybe 1/10 of an inch up and down I-5 and maybe upwards of 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch along the Oregon coast. So it's really, again, not going to be a significant weather maker. Now, in terms of the next 5 days, what we're going to be looking at is most of the rain staying up to our north, but we'll have a couple dry days. Thursday and Saturday. Friday, we've already been talking about that. Sunday and Monday, we'll be looking at some higher elevation snow, and we get into a kind of a stormier pattern once we get towards getting closer to Christmas. But Friday's system, again, provides us a little bit of some rain. We'll have high pressure building in some nice weather. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we'll have a bit of a clipper system. Most of that energy will go in up to our north, so we'll stay pretty nice overall. And then once we get after Christmas, it's going to get pretty interesting. We're going to be looking at a pretty rainy and a windy pattern, but it could initially stay offshore, but finally it starts to push in after Christmas. So what we're going to be looking at is some pretty gusty winds on Sunday, and then once we get towards Monday, you can see we'll be looking at windy conditions along the Oregon coast. Once we get towards Tuesday, that wind will start to spread inland, and then once we get towards windy, it could be windy all throughout the entire region. So our 7-day forecast for the Oregon coast is looking like this. Temperatures into the 50s for the most part, and rain really starting to ramp up after Christmas. For Northern California, we'll be into the 50s for today, cooling into the 40s, but dry over the weekend. For the Klamath Basin, you'll stay temperatures mostly into the 40s, but the coldest day will be on Saturday and some very cold mornings with lows into the teens. For the Cascades, we'll get a little bit of some snow on Friday. Most of the snow will actually hold off until early next week, and that may end up being mostly rain. For the Rogue Valley, our coldest day will be on Saturday with high of only 43 degrees.